this is a chart of a person that came to me for a reading, for even rectification, and also predictions. Okay, so to begin with, again, this is a bit challenging chart. The reason I show this is because the Lagna can fall between Scorpio or Libra. The window of time was very little for me. The error in the birth time was between 22:30 and 22:40. So to show you why this is important, let me just go 5 minutes into the you see that 5 minutes into the ascendant, you fall into Scorpio. And now it becomes very challenging. Just a few minutes like this and that, the Lagna is changing in the D1 itself. Forget even the Vargas, we're not talking about it. Now you're in a tough spot. So how did I come to the conclusion that this person was actually a Libra Lagna, not a Scorpio Lagna? Okay. So for that, we use the events of their life. But there is one very significant event that actually nailed it for me, and I will show you how to use such events for the benefit of the astrologer. Okay, so let me see. What was that?
6 feet 2, pretty tall.
What did you say?
He's pretty tall, 6 feet 2.
Yeah, exactly. That we have. You see now, 22:36. This was what I rectified. In any case, here the Lagna will not show there's a height directly for the person now, but we also have to look at the D30 for this person. And again, this person can have a good height because of genetics also. So it comes down to how relative it is between the family and people. So for example, the Leo ascendant people, Leo normally is a bit tall build sign, so that we know, okay? Compared to other signs like Gemini, Libra, Leo in the D30 makes sense now, okay? Then Jupiter is also Rashi aspecting Leo here in the D30. So that gives build. And in the Rashi chart, we can look at the planetary degrees. So if you take the ascendant, wait, where's that? Too many house cusps here. Aspects to Bhava Charita. Yeah. If you take here, Rashi aspects to Bhava houses, the first house is the body, and you see the planet that influences the body the most is actually Jupiter and Saturn.
Yes.
58 points of Jupiter and 44 points of Saturn. So that makes sense that this person is tall. So good you brought that up. Start looking from there itself. Next, the profession of this person is very good actually. He's a film director, is very famous. He's been nominated for the Academy Awards. And then he's also had a profession of teaching and then computing consultant. All these are what he has done. I don't know if the audience know or not, maybe I should tell them. Planets give professions according to the dashas also. So we have to know the dashas before we come to the interpretation, okay? In any case, the main profession for him is the film direction, okay? Here we can see how clearly that becomes associated with his career. For a Libra ascendant, Saturn is a very, very significant planet for them because he's a yoga karaka planet for them. He gives Raja Yoga for that person. And in this person's case, Venus, the Lagna Lord, is in Saturn's sign with the rectified time, and is conjunct Mercury. Mercury and Saturn are the planets that are important for this sort of profession. And he's a director. For direction, we are looking into the camera. We need a photography skill, which is one is Mercury, second is Mars, because Mars rules sight. And then Sun is the director. Okay, Sun is the director, who is the authoritative person doing all the things. If you know a bit of into filmmaking, you know more about musicians, I know more about movies, so I know that is a lot of good directors are born in the month of August. Okay, Stanley Kubrick.
With the fourth cusp of,
Yeah, fourth cusp of art. Good, you brought that up. And it requires all of that. Stanley Kubrick and Alfred Hitchcock, all of these great geniuses who have done something in this field are in this window of August, where Leo is a prominent planet for them. Even actors, for example, take Johnny Depp or Robert De Niro, all of these guys, they do have very strong Leo influence in their chart. Either a Leo Swamsha or a significant planet in the sign of Leo. things like that, because it's very common, it's the leading man, and that is Leo. That's the thing with these planets, okay? In any case, Mercury, Venus become very good conjunction in the sign of Aquarius, and it's also conjunct the fourth cusp of art. But you see, Saturn, who rules these planets, is also in the sign of Cancer. And from Gemini astrology, to be associated with teaching, you need the Atmakaraka to be associated in the sign of Cancer with Venus, or, Moon has to be full. Those sort of things are the combination. And here, for this person, not only is Saturn the Atmakaraka in Cancer, Saturn is also conjunct the ninth cusp. So this person gets the teaching profession also. This gives me confirmation that this is a right Lagna. That itself is enough for me. That was the confluence, okay? Then Ketu is in the 8th house for this person. Okay, that's important because this person also has an interest in astrology. And when did he get this interest? In the Ketu Dasha. So when he came to me for a reading, he was still in the Ketu Dasha. He's still in the Ketu Dasha, and he got influenced by astrology. He has been to many astrologers. Nobody did a sincere job with the rectification or the predictions. So he got to me. Okay. And see one more. What did you say?
His journey. He had a long journey.
He had a long journey, yeah. I mean, in terms of getting to the right astrologer, you also have to have good merit and karma. You don't get it just like that. It's because it's a significant amount of counseling. And as a guru or a teacher, what we have to go towards something of light. We also have to have that karma. If you need a good teacher, if you need some good philosopher, you have to have the merit to be with them. So if you have a bad merit to go to a bad astrologer, it's also seen in the chart. If you have a good merit to go to a good astrologer, it is also seen in the chart. Or if you don't go anywhere and you can become an astrologer, that is also seen in the chart. So that's the way you have to use, this knowledge. In any case, he has fame because he was nominated for the Academy Awards, and you see a very strong Jupiter in the sign of Aries in the 7th house. Jupiter, of course, loses Digbala in the 7th house. There is no Digbala. But it's beautiful here because it's only aspected by really nice Mercury and Venus, and that gives strong strength to Jupiter, two benefics. At the same time, he gets a Rahu conjunction to Jupiter. So this person has a problem with purposelessness. Sometimes he has not been able to figure out how life works out for them. Jupiter-Rahu conjunctions tend to do that through shared lordship, okay? And you can see why he was approaching astrologers in many sense, because he has a pretty tough Mars in the chart, starved in the sign of Gemini, not able to figure out the directions which he wants to go, not able to take immediate actions, those sort of things. Mars is also conjunct the 8th cusp. To me, anyone who comes to me for an astrology reading, most of it will be problems with Mars and Saturn. So I already know I have to look for those two planets. Here, not only is Mars a problematic planet, even Saturn is a problematic planet because it's starved in the sign of the moon. Okay, so that clearly explains. At the same time, he was coming to me at the Ketu maturation age, Rahu maturation age, and Rahu is ruled by Mars and connected to the 8th house, making it very significant problematic things for him. Okay, so that's one way. Then his father was actually a doctor. So how do you use that? See the 10th cusp falling in the sign of Leo. That is the father. Sun is the father, and he is in conjunct the 6th cusp here of dealing with disease. Also conjunct Moon, who is one of the healing planets. Okay, that makes it very clear. So that is how you use the knowledge of parents here into the reading. Then the main reason he came to me for a reading was he has tremendous amount of skill set and he has a lot of potential, this person. Unfortunately, many things in his life are making it hard for him to get funding to make new projects and movies. Okay, and that is this Dur Yoga formed by 10th Lord in the 6th house, between Sun in the 6th house. Okay, this is the difficult yoga. And this, whenever the 6th Lord is in the 10th Lord is in the 6th, it always makes life full of obstacles, especially in the area of career. Okay, that is the reason. Sun is pretty nicely situated. You see, the same planet that gave him the profession, gave his father the profession of doctor, now influences the Sun and it causes him difficulties in his career. See how beautiful astrology is, and you have to be careful in predictions here. That's the reason. From the Gemini lens, I want to confirm how is he a director. The Libra Pada falls in the sign of Gemini, which is one of the important signs for creativity. Gemini is the natural third house, which is the house of photography, skill set, and all of that. Mars is the karaka for sight and camera and photography. Okay, Mars falls in the same sign, Libra Pada. 10th from Mars. Okay, 10th from Mars, because Mars becomes a important planet here, and also the Pada is an important thing. 10th from Gemini is holding the sun and the moon. Now sun gets authority and power to be the director. Okay, that's how you use it. So you connect all of these dots one after another. Okay, another interesting thing, this person also has settled down in a foreign country. You see, it says he was naturalized and became an US citizen. He says in his transit here, also the document here. I'm not going to show the transits and all of that because it can get overwhelming and boring for the audience. I'm just going to show the combinations for foreign settlement. And here it's very simple. You see the 12th Pada is falling in the sign of Cancer. Okay, and it's also the 9th house. 9th house is the house of distance travels, and he's back to his home country. He has not permanently settled down. More important here is also Mercury, who is the 12th cusp lord, is conjunct Venus, the Lagna lord. Same sort of combination the other person had in her chart. And you see how much of a significant influence this is, because Rahu is also Rashi aspecting the 7th house here. Rahu gets this influence in this chart. But if you put Scorpio as the Lagna, these things will change. It will not be connected like that. Just want to back up a little bit here. See, if I put Scorpio 10 minutes off, which was the window he gave me, Scorpio as the Lagna, these things don't make any sense. Rahu, of course, is in the ascendant, but, you know, Lagna Lord Mars is in the 8th. This is just a combination to move from one place to another. It is not a combination to settle down in a foreign country. Same way, Saturn is still connected here. The 4th cusp lord is in the 9th. So now you get confused. What is this really happening in the chart? And even the 10th lord sun is conjunct the 5th cusp and all of that. So this was my dilemma as well. When I started, I said, yeah, this person can probably have both sorts of ascendants. What am I going to do now? So then some things that helped me was his father's profession. Now that is clear because the 10th lord or the sun is only conjunct the 5th cusp. And he was not a pediatrician, for example, or he was not working with children. He was actually working with disease. So 6th cusp has to be there. Okay. Then his profession of astrology, that is interest there. That makes sense because Ketu is not conjunct the 7th. Ketu is no longer conjunct the 8th, but he's conjunct the 7th now. Okay. Then another interesting thing in his chart is people whom he has dated. One of them was also into long-term dating, whichever he was in. That person was also into medicine. Okay. See that sun is the Dharakaraka in his case, and he should be conjunct the 6th cusp. So the rectified time will make sense. Okay. One important thing, note this in this person's case, that if I change it by 10 to 12 minutes, the Navamsha will change. All of Gemini astrology depends on Navamsha. We want to look for perfect combinations here. 2 important events he gave me was his parents both have been diagnosed with cancer. And that was a huge thing for me. I always love that kind of events of disease, which I can use for rectification. And in this person's case, with the non-rectified time, if I put him Scorpio, he will have moon in the sign of Capricorn in Gemini astrology, in the Navamsha. Moon is the Matruputru Karaka and he is the natural Karaka for mother. But look at the coincidence here. Moon is also the 10th cusp lord, which shows the father. So father and mother both get the same disease because moon is afflicted in the sign of Cancer. Okay, sorry, in the sign of Capricorn. Okay. So again, it's possible with this sign of Scorpio also that his ascendant can be Scorpio. But the significant things are his father's profession and his girlfriend's profession. All of that makes a huge difference. Okay. Then
Yes.
that was the main thing I wanted to show with this person's chart.
I like how you gave examples of, Scorpio or Libra Lagnas.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a lot of these people because of significant influence of my lagna towards them. So that already should give people a clue what is my lagna. In any case, you see, if I put the right time of rectification, 10th cusp is still falling in Cancer, the 4th cusp is still falling in Capricorn. So this confirms again to me that the parents can have cancer as a disease. Mother is still recovering from that. It's pretty good because Saturn is not bad. Saturn is in his own Mula Trikona. Father could not recover, okay? Because you see, son is debilitated. And that is the tough part here, okay? And let's see, a few things I want to say about his profession. He's also into writing. For writing related profession, we want to look at 4 planets, and you know most of it because you also have taken Gemini astrology. Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter and the Moon, okay?
Yes.
His Atma Karaka falls in the sign of Cancer, giving him the writing combination because it's the 9th cusp as well. 9th cusp is both teaching and writing. And you see that same combination repeated in the Navamsha as well. Saturn is now with Venus, a writing planet. Second from Saturn is holding Mercury. That gives another writing combination. Okay, and here from the Lagna also you can see that. Libra is the Lagna, 5th from the Lagna. In Gemini Rashis is holding Mercury, Venus. That gives writing combination. Of course, he's writing more of a scripts, and Mercury is the planet associated for filmmaking and writing for scripts and those sort of things. Venus himself is the artist, okay, writer for the scripts, and the actor is Mercury. Then look at the Navamsha also confirming his directional abilities because Saturn, Venus are in Aquarius, and 3rd from the Atma Karaka is holding Mars. Mars has to be associated in the 3rd from the Atma Karaka and associated with the 3rd cusp to give photography as a skill. So that again confirms to me that only from the career I can rectify the chart. I don't have
so
to
maybe he's a better writer than director because the sun is debilitated in the Navamsha.
Good question. That's a really good question. That's actually the entire problem in the chart is with the sun. I only had to recommend remedies for the sun for him. Of course, the avastas wise, Mars and Saturn are problematic. But in terms of him getting a career break, the sun is the big problem. Because you see, sun is the 10th lord in the 6th, forming the Dur Yoga I was talking about. And then sun is also unfortunately debilitated in the Navamsha. So the commitments to his life path is inconsistent. Commitments to his marriage life has been inconsistent. Not only on his side, but also life itself has been causing that problems. Because you see, it came to me in the Ketu Dasha, okay? And see what Ketu is going through in the Navamsha. Ketu is in the sign of Taurus, where he is conjuncting the sun through shared lordship. So Ketu will behave both like Venus and the sun. And here, the tough part is Venus's signs are afflicted by 2 malefics here, okay? And neither of his relationships have worked. It's been a very tough ride for him in relationships. You can see that when you get Saturn in Cancer, relationship life, especially the 9th cusp, is not going to be easy. Ketu, Rahu in the sign of Mars and Venus, always a problem for relationships. Jupiter loses Digbala in the 7th house, that causes problems with relationship. 7th, oh yeah, these relationships have been inconsistent. That also you can use for predictions. 7th Lord is in the 8th cusp conjunction. Inconsistencies breaks into relationships. That's another thing. Okay, and he's definitely a much better writer because of this beautiful Venus Mercury. Problems for the sun are there. And Saturn Venus conjunction, to some extent, it causes problems to the psychology of the person. Any planet conjunct Saturn suffers, that all of us know. But Venus beautifully delights Saturn always. So that makes the person also work and get ahead with him. You know what is the interesting bit in this case? The movie he made is actually a very humanitarian, cause-centered movie.
Like Saturn, right?
Like a Saturn, like a loner sort of movie, actually. It was set in a very, what do you say, like an environment where it was actually set in the Himalayas, I can say that. It's more like a secluded place. That's like a Saturnian thing. And I had to recommend him to do all of these things again, over and over again. Think for the benefit of the society, because his Atma Karaka is in Aquarius. Think of movies that touch more masses of people and all of that. So that's the counseling aspect of astrology. But some challenges for sure, but you see the rectification, how useful it is to look into rectification in this way. Okay. I just wanted to have variety. That's why I showed this chart. Maybe I close this chart and then I take another chart and we can look into that. So this is a chart of a person. This is actually a woman, and she came to me for reading and also rectification. And again, the window of time was pretty big here, 9 p.m. to midnight. Okay, 3 hours window. So the Lagna can change rapidly between Sagittarius to Capricorn. Okay, it could also be Scorpio if they're not aware. So how did I get to the confirmation that this person has a Sagittarius ascendant and not these two ascendants in the same window? Was based on the same principles I applied. So father for this person is actually a truck driver. Okay. And for that sort of profession, it's a Venusian profession, and Mars is important for drivers, which I've noticed time after time. You also notice the Formula One drivers, Mars becomes very important for them.
Yes.
And the reason is you need focus when you drive, actually, a huge amount of focus. And second thing is also the vehicle as the engine, and it's the heat and the diesel and the fuel and everything that goes in. Those are all Saturnian things, the fuel and everything, but the engine and the firepower is Mars. Particularly if Mars is good with Venus, the person becomes a much strong driver. We've seen that, and you've shown nice articles for that also. So here in this person's case, I rectified the chart this way because the 10th cusp falls in Libra, and then the Lord Venus is in conjunct the 4th cusp. I want to see Venus conjunct the 4th cusp for driving related profession with Mars that takes care of it. Okay. Then this person's profession is a pharmacist. Okay. And again, Gemini astrology, always, you cannot imagine how much Gemini astrology saves my day. So according to Gemini principles, a person who has got a Saturn-Rahu conjunction or Saturn influenced by Rahu and
poisons,
exactly. Those are the things we're looking for here. And medicine is also one poison. The trick is, are you someone who is selling marijuana? Are you someone who is consuming the drugs? Or are you someone who is selling pharmaceuticals, helping people? That's what we're looking for here. So this conjunction for her happens in the signs of Mercury, who is one of the healing planets. Mercury is a benefic planet, so it doesn't cause problems here. And she's a pharmacist, which basically means she's selling and trading, and she's not making them herself. So trading, buying and selling, all of that is a Venusian thing. And again, the 10th cusp in the sign of Libra makes perfect sense here. Okay, it's the market, the bazaar is shown by Venus, especially Libra. And you see one more thing, 7th cusp is the cusp of business, which is what she does. Saturn Rahu influenced that, which means trading of drugs now. That makes sense. Then the Lord Mercury is conjunct the 6th cusp, which is very important because it's disease-related things. We're not selling marijuana for leisure, or you're not breaking the law. If you're breaking the law, then you need the 8th cusp involved here. And if you are selling it in under hiding, or you're putting it in your house and having some greenhouse there, then you need the 12th cusp involved. So this is how astrology can be used to see if the person is actually doing dharmic things or if he's doing adharmic things. That's the way. Okay. Then this person also, very interesting enough, she moved to US after she got the pharmacy degree. But immediately when she moved to US, she actually had to work as a babysitter. Okay, so you see the Sun conjunct the 5th cusp here. Sun becomes a significant karaka for planet for career, and is conjunct the 5th cusp. More importantly for this person, Sun is actually the dasha when all of this happened. Okay, and for a pharmacy related profession, we are looking for Sun Rahu connections. Okay, Sun Rahu gives this sort of combination. Even for medicine, homeopaths, or people who deal with drugs, it's actually Sun Rahu things. And in her case, she became a pharmacist in the Sun Dasha, which was from graduated 2003. It was the Sun Dasha, if you see here. At the same time, Sun is also ruling Saturn and Rahu, the indicators for drugs, and is conjunct the sixth cusp. And then Mercury is also with the Sun. Mercury does fantastic in the sixth house because it is the natural house of Virgo. Okay, it's the house of disease. And then Mercury also rules the house of disease. Here, Saturn and Rahu are in the house of Virgo. And Mercury pulls off both the Sun and Saturn Rahu together in the sixth year. So it's a very nice combination. That's one of the reasons I took this rectification and put the fifth cusp here. For example, if you change her birth time to just 1 hour in the future, okay, you see she will go into Capricorn, and that makes it very different because now Saturn Rahu conjunct the eighth cusp. That means she can break the law. You know, she can be a drug dealer, marijuana, for example. So we are not doing that here. We're not looking for that. And it also makes sense to some degree here because Saturn Rahu are also aspecting the sixth house, which is that of disease. Okay. But she loses the 10th cusp here. Venus is not no longer the trading planet. Venus becomes the 9th house planet. She's not teaching. So she's more into trading. We need the 10th cusp here. Father no longer is getting this influence of Venus in the 4th cusp. One thing to note in astrology, Sun is the father in real life, but Venus is the DNA which we inherit from father.
Father in action or in passivity.
Yes. So both of them are important. That's why we have to look at both of them. Sometimes it's easy to filter. If Sun is conjunct 3 planets, he becomes a strong indicator for father. If Venus is conjunct more planets, it becomes a significant indicator of father. But in our case, it is 2 equal planets, so we can't filter that way. The only way to filter is through the cusps here. Okay. I don't have the data with respect to a father here with me, but I can just, from my memory, I can tell Moon was a Matru Putru Karaka for the father. And based on that, you can see that this person should have a significant Moon in the chart. The only way a Moon can become significant for her is if it falls on the ascendant. And Sagittarius made sense to me to put it in the ascendant. So that is why I chose Sagittarius as the Lagna here. Okay, if I change the time. I know
she went to several astrologers for rectification.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is a chart where she has been to several of them. Nobody was able to even give the proper rectification, nor the good reading for the clients. So it has been a very challenging thing for her. And you see, even 2146 puts the 5th cusp in the sign of Mars. Actually, this is not the time I rectified. I think it was 2149. Yeah, this was the time. In any case, even this person has had problems with relationships. There have been divorces, one divorce at least. So Saturn Rahu conjunction influencing the 7th and also the 9th cusp gives separations from relationships. That is one thing. And then we see that she has not had a child so far. And again, 5th Rashi from the ascendant holding Venus, Mars is never a child producing planet. So that's one challenge.
Adoption.
Maybe adoption, that's possible. But she is going into the Mars Dasha now. And Mars is a very important planet for her because it rules the 5th cusp in the Saptamsha. So based on that, Mars Dasha has a lot of promise because it's very nicely situated for her. Okay. Then there was some other events. And of course, she settled down in a foreign country herself. Here's where it gets interesting in her chart. If I make her ascendant Capricorn, 7th cusp falls in the sign of Cancer. Okay. So that makes perfect sense for foreign countries because we want the 7th cusp to fall in the sign of Cancer, which is the foreign sign. And the lord of the 7th cusp, which is the moon, falls in the 12th cusp if Lagna is Capricorn. So that also makes sense. 7th cusp lord in the 12th will always give foreign settlement in some extent. But again, this is not the only way to arrive at that conclusion. There is many ways you can arrive at that conclusion. So my way is to use broad things and to look at Gemini astrology for that. So in our case, Lagna Lord Jupiter is in the sign of Leo conjunct the 8th cusp. Okay, 8th cusp, whenever the Lagna Lord gets attached to it, it makes the person change their path quite a lot. Okay, that's one important indication. And then fourth Rashi Lord from the ascendant is also Jupiter, who is conjunct the eighth cusp. Fourth Lord in the eighth can also make a person move. That's the other reason. Most important here is the Cancer Pada. The Pada of Cancer falls in the sign of Taurus, here if you see that. And Mercury, the seventh Lord, is in the sign of Taurus. So that is the connection I was looking for, okay? So seventh Lord in the sign there, Rahu influencing the seventh through Rashi aspect. These are the combinations to make one settle down in a foreign country. Here she doesn't get a movable Lagna. You don't need a movable Lagna actually. Even a movable fourth house can do it. So the fourth cusp falls in Aries, which is a movable sign. Okay, that's the reason I put this sort of a connection here. Okay, then let's go to the Chaturtamsha. The Chaturtamsha itself, you can see that the fourth cusp falls in the sign of the moon, which is a movable sign, and the fourth cusp is in Cancer, which is the foreign sign. And moon himself is with Saturn, who is a separating planet from home country. And then Rahu influences the seventh as well as the moon. So this is the main reason, okay? Look at another interesting thing. Mercury, who is the Lagna Lord, is in the 12th, which is foreign places. So it's the Chaturtamsha that pulls it off. We have to always look at the Chaturtamsha. Mars, who is the Karaka for property, is with Venus. Okay, and Venus is actually important because he rules the 12th cusp here. So that also pulls it off in that sense. Here, Mars in Capricorn always shows, according to Jaimini principles, a house that is burning. The town is burning. So that native land is not working for them anymore. So they want to go and explore some other place. That's one of the reasons why she did that. So that makes sense. And it's an exalted place. Mars in exaltation always gives a nice place compared to what is the homeland. So probably that another connection here, okay? Then we can look at one event where this person had the birth of a sister.
I forgot to ask you, do you ever use the predictive transit tool or do you use the wheel?
It's a good question. I don't use that much. I find it to be very robotic, like a computer calculated thing.
Yes.
I prefer doing it myself because, a computer can only be as good as it gets.
It doesn't have intuition.
Exactly. And my brain is more like a supercomputer, so it's better to use that. So not only me, every one of us, we have a better brain than what a computer can do. I prefer doing that. But when I have the right time of birth, I use the predictive tool. I use it for making predictions of the future. So not for rectification. Find it to be pretty challenging to do the rectification using the tools. Okay, I think it's useful, very useful. Just Ernst has made it in a very nice way. People who are comfortable with that, they can feel free to use it. So birthday of a sister, I wanted to show that because it's useful to rectify the chart too. 29th of November 1980. That was the birthday. Actually, the person gave me a different date in the beginning. So I went and looked at it and it was not making sense. I told you, this was the chart actually. So in this case, the birth of the sister happens in Ketu Dasha and Mercury Bhukti and Venus Bhukti. Okay. So look at another interesting part here. Ketu is conjunct the third cusp. So he has a direct agenda to give sister for this person. Okay. There is a beautiful Jaimini astrology rule. Whenever Ketu is in the third or Ketu is in the 11th, okay, there will always be birth of women as siblings. Younger if it's in the third, 11th, older. Or there's another rule we have to be careful with Ketu. Ketu in the 11th can also make the person the eldest. There is no more children after that also. So these tricks are there. You have to be careful. When she gave me the event for the first time, actually I punched in 1981 due to the error. And 1981, let me show that also. So 1981, you note this, Ketu, Mercury, Venus was the Dasha. But if I make it 1981, the wrong time, okay, that was applied, it becomes Venus, Venus, Venus.
Which doesn't make sense.
No, it makes sense. I will tell you. It makes perfect sense, actually. Even if she had come to me for a reading, I would have predicted Venus itself. to be honest with you. The reason is this. Venus is the Bhatrikaraka in the chart. Okay? Venus is with Mars. And Venus is in the 5th sign from the ascendant. 5th is 3rd from the 3rd. On many levels, Venus makes perfect sense. And Venus is with an lord of the sign, which is Aries, is manifesting here.
Yes.
But here's the trick with astrology. The ending of a dasha and the beginning of the dasha. Most often, they don't give any significant events at all because it's not boosted. The Lord has to be very strong to give those events. But there is another thing we have to watch out for. The ending of a dasha and the beginning of the dasha will be like a trailer to the next dasha, the full thing of the dasha. For example, Jupiter Rahu dasha. Rahu is the last bhukti of Jupiter dasha. If Rahu is so strong, or if Saturn is strong in the chart, because Rahu gives the results of Saturn, Rahu dasha can already give you an overview of what Saturn is to deliver. That can happen. Or if some nice transits are happening in the sky, Rahu can still deliver. So we have to be careful. We cannot go with the book rules always. And in our case, Ketu delivers because Ketu is a karaka for siblings in one sense, because Ketu gives the results of Mars always. So we have to always pay attention to Ketu when it comes to childbirth. Like I said, I would have not predicted that. That is my honest confession.
Wow.
But Venus was my bet also. But you're still not far off. You just had a window of 1 or 6 months window, something like that. So see the day of birth of our sibling. That day, Rahu Ketu are very strongly involved in transit. Venus is the Bhatrikaraka in a chart, and Rahu Ketu exactly conjunct Venus. Okay, so that is the main reason.
Yes.
Transit. And then Jupiter is crossing the 11th cusp here. Okay, and opposite Mars, Rashi aspecting Mars, who is the Karaka for siblings. That's the beautiful transit here. Mars is also a Ratma Karaka, so Jupiter to Mars conjunction opposition is happening through Rashi aspect. And look at Drakana. This is the chart we are looking at. Drakana is ruled by Mars now. Okay, so the Drakana gets activated straight away. Third cusp is falling in the sign of the moon. And of course, if you go a few hours in advance like that, you'll see that moon will meet Venus. You don't even have to go a few hours in advance. If you go a few hours behind also, you'll see that moon will be in the Navamsha of the moon in transit. The natal moon is in 28 degrees of Sagittarius, and she gets this very closely with that. And also you see that the third cusp in the rectified chart now is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is exactly Rashi aspecting Mars. That is why I put this as the ascendant of Sagittarius. And Jupiter is very important for her, not only because he rules the third cusp, he's also the Lagna Lord. Mars is the Karaka for siblings and all of that. But you see, one interesting thing I show here is Saturn is transiting the 11th Rashi from the ascendant. He's over the 10th cusp, but he's transiting the 11th Rashi. The Lagna Lord is transiting the 11th cusp exactly. Saturn is the elder sibling. So this person becomes elder sibling during that time. Okay. Then Lagna Lord exactly crossing the 11th cusp. That is when you become the eldest. 11th cusp is the eldest. So this is why I use this sort of concepts in transit, the dashas and everything to make sense.
Yes.
But this is the wrong rectified time.
Yes.
I didn't make sense of it after some time. So now if you put back 1980, we'll see what happens. 1980, this window, Mars is again very important for her. Mars is the Atma Karaka, is trining the Sun. Venus is the Bhatri Karaka. See that transit here? Rashi aspecting Venus himself. Okay, it's really good transit. Jupiter and Saturn are closely conjunct. You can treat this as a conjunction because it is within one Navamsha. Jupiter is the Lagna Lord and Saturn is in the D60. Saturn doesn't do something here. We're looking for third house. We're looking for Mercury and the Sun. Okay. You see Sun getting activated because the Lagna Lord of D60 is activated by Mars here, and also Jupiter is Rashi aspecting that. The third Lord of D1 is Rashi aspecting the Lagna Lord of D60.
Mm-hmm.
Saturn is trining the Sun, and if you see that, the Drekana, Saturn doesn't rule anything significant, but the third cusp is ruled by the moon. And you see moon to Mars. Oh yeah, this is one. I mean, it's always this is the thing with transit. I can't think and talk at the same time. Moon. And you see, moon is the third cusp lord of Drekana here, and moon is trining Mars in the sky. That's a transit, and moon is conjuncting natal Saturn. Okay, that is
Yes.
what. That's very important here. I think that's about it actually.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to show, because if you just had a wrong date and you look at it, you can still make sense because transits will line up so many times.
Yes.
But it's the dashas that gives the event, and even dashas can also show events many times in the same way. You have to be very careful how you analyze the chart and how you look at it. Okay, I showed, I think, a vast variety of events, and then of course we have other ways and look into every chart in different perspective. But I think by now the audience should have an idea of what they're
And
looking
also
at.
for everyone, if you weren't convinced, if you thought like astrology is a bunch of woo-woo and just speculation, we can see that it has a lot to do with mathematics and astronomy.
Exactly.
And so it's serious stuff.
Good, you brought that up. This person also is interested in astrology, and you see, rectified the chart based on that too. Jupiter in the sign of Leo becomes a career planet because planets in the sign of Leo, career planet, and here Atmakaraka Mars is needed to aspect Jupiter for astrology. She doesn't do counseling so far. She's interested to do that, but Mars is aspecting.
I think she's more interested in the technical, like rectification and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Mars is aspecting the 8th cusp.
Yes.
So that is the reason for astrology interest here. And then Ketu is conjunct the 3rd cusp and is ruled by Jupiter. So by Jupiter ruling both Ketu and the 8th Rashi Lord from the
makes
ascent,
a connection.
Makes the connection. The beauty is also that she's interested in cards. Again, Venus pulling it out.
And also moon on the Lagna, moon can also be with the cards.
Exactly. And then Ketu conjunct the 3rd cusp.
Yes.
That is the astronomy mathematical part. So this person did not get into these sort of things on accident. It was just driving her towards this.
And it's her Atmakaraka Dasha running now, right?
Exactly. Atmakaraka Dasha is fun.
It was amazing. It was so well explained and intense.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for being here for almost 3 hours today. 4 hours, I think.
You can imagine if I'm explaining it for 3 hours, how much time it goes in to do it. And how much time it goes into my head where I have to scratch my head always figuring out what is it, giving the transit, or why is this dasha activating. Sometimes you can make mistakes very easily with this. But lastly, I want to say this very important statement is maybe a good astrologer is off by few minutes, let's say 1, 2, 3 minutes. Okay. That is still not so bad. If he is able to get so close, then he's done a fine job. Okay. But if an astrologer is giving you wrong time of 1 or 2 hours, and then even if the doctor has told you that you're born 10 minutes past 10, and the astrologer gives you 11 o'clock 10 minutes later, so that is wrong rectification. So you have to watch out for this sort of people. And again, rectification, astrologers use many techniques. In India, they pretty much use Vimshottari on all levels, and then Nadi astrology. But I use everything I know. And I use transits, and I recommend people to learn rectification if they want to understand the beauty of astrology, because they will have goosebumps and they will have appreciation for the planets on a new level always. So I think that's the last statement I wanted to make.
Thank you very much, Ganesh, for your time, because I know you're very busy. So thank you for taking the time to do this, because rectification is really important if you want good predictions, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll link Ganesh's website below. If you want to get in touch with him, do it. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye, Ganesh. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.